I think we need to wait for everyone to move their camera slides over. There we go, and welcome everyone to the Tuesday, June 9th, 2026 Clean Water Services Board of Directors meeting. Clerk Moss, could you take the roll, please?
Certainly. Director Fye?
Present.
Director Treese?
Here.
Director Schneider?
Here.
Vice Chair Willie?
Here.
Chair Harrington?
Here. All righty. The next item on the agenda is public comment. This is an opportunity for any members of our community to come and address the Clean Water Services Board of Directors on any topic you would like, but hopefully related to what we do. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone who wishes to do so?
I did not see anyone sign up in advance in the auditorium. Is there any member in the auditorium that wishes to provide comment on clean water services for up to 3 minutes? To raise your hand, start coming forward. Not seeing any in the room. We have one online, Deanna Johnson. Ms. Johnson, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, can. Please go ahead for up to 3 minutes.
Great. Thank you so much. Hold on one sec. I just wanted to express thank you so much for this opportunity to provide public testimony at these meetings on a regular basis. Unfortunately, I just also wanted to express my disappointment once again around the lack of low-income assistance that this board and also Clean Water Services has implemented since I've been inquiring about this since September of 2024. I've kind of noticed that they've spent our ratepayer money on hundreds of thousands of dollars on a ratepayer feasibility study, a billing feasibility study, and then of course the low income assistance billing study they're going to be implementing. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars, where even just 1/5 of that could have been used on helping ratepayers as far as some low income assistance. I don't know about you guys, but the side of my Clean Water Services bill is actually higher than my water usage. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around how that actually makes sense. And that's even without the 20% discount. Again, that's without the 20% discount. So if I'm using 1 or 3 CCFs of water, my Clean Water Services side of the bill is still higher. I can't understand or make sense of that. So perhaps I'll reach out for that inquiry as well. And then I also don't know if my bill is going to go up 6% or 21%. It's like, so I have no idea. It's still all confusing. But anyway, I just wanted to express my frustration once again. The hundreds of thousands of dollars that's being spent on these studies is diabolical. And the fact that they're still not managing their own billing, and you're going to have to train staff to bring in to do that when you're already spending, $2.5 million with Tualatin Valley Water to manage their billing. It's crazy. It's like absolutely insane. So anyway, thank you so much for this time, and I heed my testimony.
All right. Is there any other member of public online via Zoom who should provide public comment for up to 3 minutes to Clean Water Service here? Give you just a moment to utilize raise hand function. Not seeing any hands. Chair Harrington.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. And with that, we're moving on to board agenda item discussion. Do any commissioners have questions with regard to today's agenda topics? Seeing none, then we'll move on to today's consent agenda, which consists of 5 items: 1 set of minutes, 2 different contracts, 1 intergovernmental agreement, 1 award price agreement. What are the wishes of the board regarding today's consent agenda?
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve today's consent agenda. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, directors. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Next, we'll move on to our action agenda item, and this is to adopt our capital improvements program for the next 5 fiscal years, fiscal year 2027 through 2031. Welcome.
Good morning.
Morning.
For the record, I'm Rick Shanley, Interim Chief Executive Officer / General Manager. Kathy, do you want to?
I'm Kathy Leader, Chief Financial Officer. Good morning.
So this is a recap, somewhat of what we presented in the budget. That was a great session. We got some excellent follow-up questions. I hope we answered all those appropriately, but I'll share where we're at today with the CIP. So on the sanitary portion, we worked very hard to adjust the sanitary CIP to really reflect the pace of growth right now, and also level the CIP. Early on, we had a target that we thought we could hit about $120 million per year on average, and we were able to basically, on average, meet that representation for a CIP that's going to accommodate growth in the region, deal with some of the regulatory issues that are ongoing, and provide the capacity we need at all of our facilities, treatment and conveyance. Some of the notable projects in the CIP are the Durham Water Resource Recovery Facility. We're building a new digester. This is critical for our solids treatment process at Durham. We're expanding the capacity from about 2.6 million gallons to 3.9 million gallons. So basically, it's a third digester to go along with the two that are already existing. We've talked to you, Rock Creek, one of the projects that we're moving forward with is the biogas utilization project to take the gas that is currently being flared at Rock Creek, treat that to a standard, and create renewable natural gas. There's a good cost benefit to that, as well as a great environmental benefit. Of course, we have a lot of stuff going on in conveyance as well. So the Metzger-Fano Interceptor project is one of the key projects that we'll be spending significant dollars on next year to upsize that and provide capacity, prevent overflows. A couple others on pump stations. We have the Rosedale Pump Station, designing and constructing a new pump station to serve South Hillsborough. And then the building facilities improvements. We have the tenant improvements at Clean Water Services Central. We are just now getting started. We have a contractor on board. Remodeling at the CWS laboratory will be completed late this year, early next year, major endeavor. And then at the Springer Street facility, Ryan Sandu, I saw in the audience, his folks have been working out of trailers for quite some time and temporary installations. So we're excited to be moving forward with that to give them a more permanent home. On the surface water management side, next year we're at about $2.5 million. We see some changes in that. There are increasing demands for surface water treatment, meeting regulatory standards. And some of the notable projects there are vegetated corridor enhancement projects, developer fees pay for the work, storm sewer renewal and replacement. Lots of that infrastructure is aging, as well as many of our systems that we have. So multiple projects in that realm. And surface water management, heavy vehicle truck replacement. You see a picture of one on the right. We need to buy some new wheel loaders and excavators. We do a lot of our work in-house with maintenance and upgrades, so we need that important equipment to do that effectively. That is the end of my presentation and recap on the CIP. Any questions?
Directors, do you have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll just add that I read the updated Q&A document from the budget. Very well done. I thought you answered all the questions very, very well and comprehensively. And I really appreciate your coming forward for our general public to get today's presentation beyond just our budget committee. But job well done on all of this planning work. There's a reason why the operational side of Clean Water Services is something that is very quiet for our public because you do such a tremendous job. So keep up the good work. Do we have a motion to adopt the Clean Water Services Capital Improvement Program for the next 5 fiscal years, FY 2027 through FY 2021?
I move to adopt the capital improvement program.
Second?
We have a
correction to 2031.
Thank you. I said the wrong thing. Thank you. That's me, numbers and months. So 2027 to 2031. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, directors. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Oh, yeah, you have quite the squeaky chair. Next, we're moving on to public hearings, and we have 3 of those today. The first one is with regard to adopting our rates and charges. So do we have a staff report? Yes, we in fact do. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So Clean Water Services provides sanitary sewer and surface water management services in Washington County. And this graphic up here is showing you the areas we service. The areas in blue, these are the cities that we provide regional-only services for, and I'll define those on a next slide. And those are the cities of Beaverton, Cornelius, Forest Grove, Hillsborough, Sherwood, Tigard, and Tualatin. The areas there in brown, these are the customers that Clean Water Services bills directly, and we provide regional services and local services for those customers. And that includes urban unincorporated areas of Washington County and the cities of Banks, Durham, Gaston, King City, and North Plains. Clean Water Services also bills for all industrial customers within the service area and remits any related right-of-way fee or local fees to the cities that the industrial customers reside in. And just for clarification too, for those customers in the blue area that we provide regional only, they provide their own local program for sanitary sewer and surface water management and develop their own rates and bill separately for that. So in defining the services, so regional services, these are services we provide to all customers in our service area, and they consist of construction, operating, and maintenance of the treatment plants, sewer pump stations, pressure lines, and conveyance lines over 24 inches in diameter. It also includes our compliance reporting, our oversight for National Pollutant Discharge Elimination Systems, the NPDES permit, and includes the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, MS4 permit. The program includes maintaining minimum stream flows throughout the corridors and service area restoration enhancing of stream corridors. For the local services provided by Clean Water Services that we bill directly, these include the design, build, and maintenance of conveyance lines 21 inches and smaller. It includes our street sweeping program, maintaining water quality facilities, and clean catch basins and water quality manholes. So it was the ask of the board and member cities a while back that Clean Water Services do an update to our cost of service study. There was a feeling that over time, the last time the study was done was back in 2008, and there was a feeling that there had been some changes in service levels across both utilities, sanitary sewer and stormwater, and also within the regional local programs. So we completed that study in November of 2025 with assistance from Bartell Wells and Associates. And the main objectives of that study were first to review and update how costs are allocated to sanitary sewer and surface water management and the regional and local service areas. Second, we was then, based on that information, prepare a 10-year financial plan for the district that funds operations and maintenance, debt service, and capital needs annually over that 10-year period, corrects that local service area funding deficit, and ensures that Clean Water Services maintains sufficient reserves for future operations. And finally, it was the basis to calculate updated rates that now reflect the service costs within each of the utilities and the regional and local service. So rates can adjust differently based on the cost of service in each of those areas. And this change in allocation basis, it was adopted by the board on April 14th, along with an updated contingency reserve policy for the district. So the results of that cost of service study and the rate development, these were the rates that were put in the proposed budget that was approved by the budget committee. And for the proposed budget, it includes 6.4% combined rate increase for customers' Clean Water Services bills. So these are the customers in the urban unincorporated areas and the cities, Banks, Gaston, King City, North Plains, and it average household payment would be $4.28 more per month. So that's an average household for both the center sewer and surface water. That equates out to $1.97 for regional services and $2.31 for local services. So that's trying to true up over time that deficit in the local program. The study also showed that for those customers we bill regionally, that it's a 4% increase in the rate for the sanitary sewer and surface water, and that's that $1.97 then per month for the regional service. So this graph is showing you our rates compared to some of the competitive utilities in the region. The rates that show up here, the bars that have a green cap on those are the cities that we had the information on their proposed rates for 2027. The ones that don't, we didn't at the time of preparing this, so we utilized their current rates they're billing under. And so as you can see here, for Clean Water Services, the second bar in, that combined rate for the customers we bill directly, it's set at $71.23 per month. And we remain competitive with the other jurisdictions, although we treat at a higher level based on our permit requirements. And finally, in the rates and charges, we have a proposed increase in our system development charges. So those are for customers that are connecting to our system to pay for capacity in the existing system and needed growth capacity. These two rates for the center sewer and surface water management are going up by 2.7%. That's the inflationary engineering news record factor for the year. So on the sanitary system development charge, it's an increase of $193 to $7,332 per equivalent dwelling unit, so one residential home. On the surface water management system development charge, it's an increase of $19 for a total of $710 per equivalent service unit. And finally, to round up my report, just informational for the board, just so periodically Standard & Poor's does an update of our rating to reaffirm the rating for the district, and that happens periodically about every 5 years. So we recently had a contact from them and provided information to them and received a report back from them just the other day that reaffirmed our AAA rating for Clean Water Services. And part of their report, they noted that the rating reflects Clean Water Services' exceptional financial metrics, strong management practices, and important role as the primary wastewater treatment provider in Washington County. It also recognized a track record of regular rate adjustments and well-developed annual updated 10-year financial forecasts. So this is very positive for the district. It allows us then to issue debt at lower interest rates and then also then impacts the rate increases that we would do over time. And with that, and for awareness, we will be providing the report to the board in one of the weekly roundups. So, and that concludes my report. And any questions from the board?
Thank you, Board. Are there any questions or comments? Commissioner Treese, Director Treese.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the report. I have two questions, and one of them may be directed at our general manager, but I'd like to know what the status is of our low-income rate work that we've been doing and where that is. And then secondarily, I'd also like to know what we are looking at in terms of understanding how SDCs are determined. Just as we went through a rate process and understood where our rates are, I believe we're overdue for the same type of work in relationship to our SDCs. Can you answer those questions, or would...
Rahim, did you want to start with the update on the EMA?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Rahim Harji, General Manager. So on the low income rate, we actually had a kickoff meeting yesterday with the consultant helping us with three things: the utility billing work, the study that we're doing, the low income rate, and an emergency assistance program. So they're finalizing a schedule, which we're happy to share with you after this meeting.
It's been programmed into the rolling agenda for a couple of months now. I don't know why the question keeps coming up about the status of it.
I'm clarifying the question based on information I've received and questions I've received from the community, and I just wanted to raise it here while we're talking about rates.
Then the second question you had about SDCs, that's the next body of work we're going to be getting into. So we'll have a more detailed schedule as we start getting into that work.
Great, thank you.
Director Fye, your light is on. Are there any other board questions or comments? Okay, I'll make my comment. Thank you very much for this very thorough work. You've done a good job on this. Really pleased to hear the summary on Standard & Poor's. And organizationally, you continue to plan out the work very carefully and have provided us with plenty of planning information about when the information is available. It's unfortunate that we have customers that still confuse all the different numbers and percentages. Your presentations have been very clear about those folks who reside in cities, what portion of their bill is the regional rate for the services that Clean Water Services provides for city residents, and then for the local rates for those community members that live in urban, unincorporated Washington County or in those number of smaller cities that you've specifically named. So keep up the good work. Now we need to hold a public hearing. Could we remove this slide, please? Pretty picture, but, and at this juncture, I'd like to open a public hearing on today's proposed rates and charges.
Thank you, Chair Harrington. I did not see anyone sign up in advance of this public hearing. Is there any member in the auditorium that wishes to provide a comment on this public hearing? As you've heard the staff report, just raise your hand, start coming forward. Not seeing any in the room. Is there any member online that wishes to provide public comment on this public hearing for up to 2 minutes? Just utilize the raise hand function. Give you just a moment. Not seeing any hands, Chair Harrington.
Okay, and with that, we can close today's public hearing, and I would ask for a motion to approve the resolution in order with the administrative provisions and fee charges effective July 1st, 2026 for fiscal year FY27.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, directors. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Next, we'll move on to a public hearing and action with regard to a Clean Water Services pay plan for non-represented employees for fiscal year 27. Welcome, Ms. Dober.
Good morning, thank you. Good morning, Chair Harrington and directors. My name is Holly Dober. I'm the Director of Human Resources for Clean Water Services. The item before you is a public hearing to adopt resolution and order approving Clean Water Services pay plan for non-represented employees for fiscal year 2026 to 2027. As required in the Clean Water Services Employment Policy and Guidelines, Clean Water Services is recommending that the board adopt the pay plan establishing salaries for non-represented employees based on the adopted budget for fiscal year 2026-27. The pay plan represents a cost of living adjustment identified by the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers in the West Region. A 2.8% cost of living adjustment is applied for the non-represented pay plan and to the non-represented employees' base salaries effective July 1st, 2026. Clean Water Services also uses a performance-based pay compensation system, and employees may receive pay increases through the annual performance review process. Employees do not receive step increases. Exhibit B summarizes 2 new classifications on the pay plan that are included and funded in the fiscal year 2026-27 adopted budget. Thank you, and I can answer any questions.
Directors, do you have any questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you very much for this comprehensive documentation and that we've gone over in other forums. At this juncture, I'd like to open a public hearing. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone who wishes to testify?
Thank you, Chair Harrington. I did not see one sign up in advance of this public hearing. Is there any member in the auditorium that wish to provide public comment on this public hearing as you've heard from staff? Just raise your hand, start coming forward. Not seeing any hands in the audience. Is there any member online via Zoom who should provide public comment on this public hearing as you've heard from staff? Just give you just a moment to utilize the raise hand function. Not seeing any hands, Chair Harrington.
Thank you, and with that, I'll close today's public hearing and ask for a motion to adopt the resolution and order approving the Clean Water Services pay plan for non-represented employees for fiscal year 26-27.
Move to accept the pay plan as presented.
Move to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, directors. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Next, we'll move on to the resolution in order to adopt the Clean Water Services fiscal year budget for 2026-27, also known as FY27, and make appropriations as such.
Thank you, Chair and members of the board. This is a action to approve a resolution order adopting Clean Water Services fiscal year 2026-27 budget and make appropriations. The district proposed budget was developed with a focus on fiscal discipline and careful management of financial resources. And this graphic here is showing you for the assumptions in the 26-27 budget. So current revenues are budgeted at $254.8 million. Those revenues are being used to cover operating and other outlays of $154.6 million, debt service of $17.2 million, and the capital improvement plan of $123.4 million. So expenditures total $295.2 million, revenues total $254.8. So this does reflect spending of about $40.4 million in reserves. However, based on our historical spending, we do anticipate the reserve spend to be closer to $17.8 million in that year, related really to the capital program. So this graph is showing you the sources and uses of the funds in the budget. So on the left-hand side there are your revenue sources. A majority of our revenue is service charges, service fees at $208.9 million, and system development charges at $22.4 million. We also have interest investment earnings budget at $14 million. We have a Build America bond subsidy at about $1 million we receive. And then there's miscellaneous fees and grants at $8.4 million, and that really includes septic charges, fog tipping fees, so federal increased tipping fees, reimbursement from developers, and grant revenues. On the expenditure side of $356.4 million, it's split pretty equally between capital construction at $123.4 million and operating expenses at $146.5 million. We have debt service at $17.2 million and other fund outlays of $8.1 million, which relates to bad debt expense, franchise fees, reimbursement to clients for the right-of-way fees and local portions of industrial flow charges collected, insurance claims paid, and then a non-departmental of $1.5 million. That's that money that's in the budget allowed for movement up into programs with board approval. The proposed budget for, actually the approved budget for 26-27 includes expenditures of $22.7 million, or a reduction in expenditure of $22.7 million, 7.2% compared to the prior year, 26 budget. So when you're looking at that breakdown of that as compared to 25-26 adopted budget, there's a $23.8 million decrease in the capital program. We talked about leveling out the capital program, and we had some large projects that were nearing completion in 26. So we see a decline in capital program in 27. There's a $6.6 million increase in operating budget, really related to those labor factors, and a $2.4 million decrease in debt service. That is the factor of last year we did have a $75 million bond issuance in the plan with interest related to it. We didn't do that issuance, so we see a reduction then in interest and principal payments in 27. And a $3.2 million decrease in those other fund outlays we just talked about, and that was really bringing those in line with historical spend. So the total is $295.2 million proposed in 26-27, and in 26 it was $317.9 million. So that $22.7 million reduction in expenditures. On the personal services side, it's set at $93.5 million. That's a 4.4% increase, or $3.9 million over the 26 budget, the current year. 5% of that increase, or $2.9 million, relates to the wages, so that cost of living adjustment and performance based pay. And 3.6 related to other benefits such as medical insurance and public employee retirement system. As I mentioned, we've trying to find cost controls within the budget itself, so there were no additional FTE adds requested in this budget year. 3 vacant positions in strategy remain unfunded in that budget, and we continue to review and redesignate existing vacancies in personnel. For material and services, it's a $53 million budget. It's a 5.4% increase, or $2.7 million over the 25-26 budget. $695,000 of that relates to operating supplies and repair on our infrastructure. $568,000 increase in landscape services. This is really related to the reuse program. Some of their costs in prior years for landscape were included in categories like contract services or landscape or operating. So we can combine them all in the right object code, which is landscape services. That's why you see that one increasing in this year. And $301,500 for increase in software licenses, and $300,000 in one-time expense for professional services as we move the lab out of ABC to their new facility. And part of that cost control in the budget, the proposed budget that was brought for approval, reflected a reduction of about $1.4 million from the initial requests of staff. So we really did a good job of trying to go in and put together a strong fiscally responsible budget for approval. And with that, that completes the staff report, and I'm open for any questions.
Directors, do you have any questions with regard to the Clean Water Services budget that we're being asked to adopt today?
I do have a couple comments, but I can hold those till after the public hearing if you want.
Anytime. Any other questions? All right. At this juncture, then, I'd like to open a public hearing with regard to the approved Clean Water Services budget. See if we have anyone who wishes to provide comment today. Clerk Moss.
Thank you, Chair Harrington. I did not see anyone sign up beforehand in the auditorium. Is there any member in the auditorium that wish to provide public comment on the Clean Water Services budget? As you've heard the staff report, just raise your hand, start coming forward. Not seeing any in the room. Is there any member online that should provide comment? We have one member, Deanna Johnson. Can you hear us, Ms. Johnson?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead for up to 2 minutes.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you to Director Fye and Director Treese, especially Director Treese, for reiterating that question around low-income assistance. I don't understand why Commissioner Director Harrington doesn't realize that it's not our full-time job looking through these numerous pages of documents trying to wrap our head around their billing structure or the rolling agendas that you have. So it is nice that you potentially repeat the steps that are being driven towards low-income assistance for those of us who may attend these meetings but don't keep track with our own personal lives and et cetera, et cetera. So I just want to say thank you for that, and I heed my time.
Is there any other member by the public that wish to provide comment on this public hearing? As you've heard from staff, give you just one more moment to realize the raise hand function. Not seeing any additional hands, Chair Harrington.
And with that, we'll close today's public hearing and ask for a motion to approve the resolution and order to adopt the Clean Water Services fiscal year 27 budget and make appropriations.
I'd like to make a couple comments, if I could.
Absolutely.
So,
could we have a motion first, a motion and a second?
Sure.
Move to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Now is the time for director comments.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to commend the team on what I thought was a much clearer presentation of the budget materials. I stated this during the budget committee meetings, but I also want to state it here, at least compared to prior years from my experience. the level of diligence that was done by the staff and leadership team, particularly to respond to the challenge that we provided last year around 3% rate increase and what that would look like and what it would mean to the organization. I think again, I'm repeating things I've said, but I think it's important for the public and for context that I feel very confident that we are making the right decisions here and that a very thorough review has been completed. And I think you see that reflected in some of the decreases in the budgeted amounts as well. So I just wanted to add those pieces of context.
Are there any other director comments? I want to once again say that you've done a great job in providing the proposed budget and explanations. I really appreciate Rick Shanley, how you worked with the organization to really shake out what we really need to focus on as part of our back to business. The presentations to the Budget Committee were very well done. Those are completely available to our community. I will also note that in the Q&A document provided to every board member, including the full Budget Committee, you do give us a very clear explanation of what the status is of the low-income research. And so I would ask my fellow directors to please read that information and remember it and incorporate that as part of their interactions with community members. So we have a motion to adopt the Clean Water Services fiscal year FY27 budget of $833,661,000 and make the appropriations as detailed in Exhibit A to the resolution and order. What are the wishes? All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, directors. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. And that brings us to the end of our public hearings today. Job well done. Big hand for staff. Okay, board announcements. Our future meetings. We have one more set of meetings here in the month of June. June 23rd, we'll have a Board of Directors meeting starting at 5:30 p.m. Then we're into the month of July. I'm still getting used to June. So Tuesday, July 14th, we'll start our day with a Clean Water Services Board of Directors meeting at 9 a.m. Following that, we'll go to a Clean Water Services Board of Directors work session. And then we follow with our Washington County work. On Tuesday, July 28th, we'll have a Clean Water Services Board of Directors meeting starting at 5:30 p.m. And then on Tuesday, is it really Tuesday? It says here Tuesday, but I think that's the July 31st.
Oh, yes, that is a Friday. My oversight.
Friday, July 31st, we'll have a Clean Water Services work session day starting at 9 a.m. That's it for me. Any other board announcements? Go ahead. I thought we did in prior meetings, but yep, go right ahead, Vice Chair
I'd
Billy.
just like to say welcome. Raheem, this is your first official board meeting, isn't it? Yes, that's what I thought. So welcome to the team. Very happy to have you, and I know that you've jumped in, and you've got some things to do, and you certainly have brought great leadership to Clean Water Services. We're very happy to have you aboard, so welcome.
Thank you. Are there any other board announcements for today? Seeing none at 9:40, is there a motion to adjourn today's meeting?
So move.
We have a motion to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, everyone. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. We're hereby adjourned. and 10-minute break before we convene in work session at 9:50. Thank you.